Hi there, welcome to Towan Talks Cardfight. Today I'm redoing a deck profile which I did before. You can probably tell which one it is. It is my Sanctuary of Light Garmore deck. This one, it's got all the cards in now. It's very, very fun to play. It's not so competitive, but it can push the competitive decks pretty far. Take a game or so off the minute, best of 3. It's worked very well. The consistency of it is incredible. You don't really have a game-ending move, but you just sort of beat style. You just keep on going at them and hope to win. Not much else I can really say about it. It's not really a hyper-competitive deck. It's definitely a very, if you want to have some fun, you build this deck. It's pretty cheap considering. The right chain's pretty cheap. All the cards in the deck are relatively cheap. Sanctuary Guard Dragon's a bit expensive, but that's the only card which you're going to have to worry about. Alright, let's get on to the deck profile. As usual, start with starting Vanguard, which, as if you know from when I covered the deck before I had it, that card is Sanctuary of Light, Planet Lancer. Okay, this guy. Okay, normal ride chain starter. On a card which isn't ride chain grade 1 rides on top of it, you can pull it out of the soul, pop it on your rear guard, so Forerunner, and then its other ability, when the grade 1 rides on top of it, you search top 7 cards of your deck for the grade 2 or the grade 3. Can be incredibly useful. It also doesn't really matter if you get the ride chain off, you just need to make sure you get the grade 2 of the ride chain. That's the only really thing about this ride chain. You need the grade 2 in the soul, otherwise you lose so much power from it. But the entire style of the deck is very beatdowny. If you can get an extra one of the grade 1s, that's good. So if you have the grade 1, the grade 2 and the grade 3 already in your hand, do not ride the grade 1 because it's just, you're wasting a very good booster. If you have another grade 1, ride that instead. Okay, because it can become a 10k booster at later points in the game. Okay, next up, heal triggers. Running 4, very standard, so 4 heal triggers. Yep. Next, I've switched this up a bit since I did the profile before. I'm running 4 and actually running 6 crit triggers, not the 8 I was running before. That's because you need a bit more hand consistency, you need a bit more draw power, so it's 6 crit triggers instead. That means I can run 6 draws as well, so yeah. For the draws I'm running 4 Margles because that's got the potential to be able to hit extra numbers. So say it's a cross ride deck, you can use that to hit extra numbers, or as your columns generally hit for 23 or 24, you can swing for a 26 column using it, or go for 30 against 10k Vanguards. Yeah, and then just 2 Dual Knights ones, because I do have a variant of this deck which I will profile at some point, which is the Dual Knight variant of the Sanctuary of Light. It's very fun, yeah, but yeah, that's the trigger lineup. So 4 heal, 6 crit, 6 draw. Okay, onto the grade 1s. Right, we have the ride chain, obviously, which is Sanctuary of Light Little Storm. This card is incredibly good. Yeah, as I said, it's got the ability where when a Royal Paladin, which is not the grade 2 of the Sanctuary of Light, so Sanctuary of Light Determinator rides on top of it, search your the top 7 cards of your deck for the grade 2 and ride that on top. So if you don't have the grade 2 in your hand, you can ride another grade 2 on top and search top 7 cards for another copy, well, for a copy of the grade 2, which is very good because you need to get the grade 2 ridden on top, and I really like that part about this. You don't get the ability from the grade 2 when it rides on top, but it does mean you can definitely get the grade 2, and it's very good. Also, it's got the normal ride chain ability, plus 1k when the grade 0 is in the soul. Alright, on to the next one. We got 2 Lien. That's 2 of our cycling cards. It's very good. It means you can swap the cards around that you have in your deck. So if you're going first and you have a copy of the grade 2 and 3 of the ride chain in your hand, and you draw this one, ride this one, you can use its ability to rest it, drop a card from your hand and draw a card. It's very good, very, very good to use. it's normally my first ride target if I'm going first. If I'm going second, I'll bring it out onto my rear guard to try and cycle my hand a bit. It's a few ways you can use it. It's generally just very good to have it, just in case you think you might get grade stuck, something like that. Drop a card which you don't need. So you got too many grade 3s, drop a grade 3, try and get another card. Right, next up, 4 Quintet walls. I'm running Quintet walls because they're cheap. Yeah, they're like £2.70 at the moment, so really cheap cards. For those who don't know what a Quintet wall is, you counterblast one when this unit is placed from your hand into the Guardian Circle. Call top 5 cards of your deck into the Guardian Circle. Okay, I like Quintet walls. I'm going to be swapping this out once I actually decide to spend the money on it to get 1 Quintet wall and 3 perfect guards, but which is a staple which is going to be in most of my decks from now on. But this is going to stick as 4 Quintet walls for now. It's just a defensive way, a way of using it defensively. Generally, the average numbers which you get out from this particular deck is 20 to 25k of guard. So if you're using it, expect to get 25k. You have the potential to get a 50k shield out. You also have the potential to get a 0 shield. Right, none at all if you get all grade 3s. You're most likely going to get a mixture of grade 3s, grade 0s, grade 1s, a mixture of all of them. It should level out at about 25. That's what I've got from experience. 25 is the normal number you're going to get from it. Next up, as you know, I run the Garmore variant, so I run 4 Snogals, just because they're good boosters behind the Sanctuary of Light cards when you don't get your little storms. If you get 3 Garmores out, because against most decks that are not Kagero or Link Joker or anything like that, you're going to have a pretty safe backline, and you're going to try and focus on getting rid of your front line, because your front line is very dangerous in this deck. So having these, it gives you consistent boosters, so you get consistent, easy to call boosters, I should say. It's not exactly consistent power until later in the game when you've got all 3 out. Well, you've got at least 3 out. Yeah, they're generally quite nice. I'm only running it because I'm running the Garmore variant. If I wasn't running Garmore, I would be using Marins instead, or Dual Knight cards. Probably Prismes, something like that. But that's where I'm at the moment. Okay, on to the next one. We have 4 of the Ride Chain Grade 2, so this Sanctuary of Light Determinator. He's quite cool. His ability is very, very good. When he's ridden on top of the Grade 1, you can search your deck and get a free call of any Sanctuary of Light unit. So you're on top of the Grade 1, you can search for another Grade 1 to come behind it and become a very potent booster for late game. As all of your Grade 1 Sanctuary of Lights, when you've got the Grade 3 Sanctuary of Light at limit break, become 10k boosters. So it can be very, very good to ride this one to be able to get the Grade 1 out. Unfortunately, this ability doesn't activate if you use the Grade 1's ability to search for it again. So if you use this one's ability when another Grade 2 is written on top to search for this guy, you don't get to use his ability. A bit of a drawback on that, but it doesn't matter because its ability is really strong anyway. I mean, a 100% free card is very good, especially considering you get a free booster call. So it's very, very good. I really like it. It's a good card to use. Okay, next up we're running 1 Blaster Blade. As usual in my Royal Paladin decks, I'm getting the alternate art for that because I really want them. I've ordered one of the Manga arts. Manga art looks so cool. But yeah, 1 Blaster Blade. Really, really like it. You have it in there. It's Counterblast 2, retire 1 grade. Counterblast 2, retire 1 grade 2 or higher unit, unless it's ridden on the Vanguard Circle, and then it's Counterblast 2, retire any unit. It's very, very good. If you ride this one on top of the Grade 1, use its ability, and then use the Grade 1's ability to search for this one, you get it works as quite a good combo. You get a snipe at a back row unit, and then get to call ride the right target as well. That's very good. Next up, carrying on my Grade 2s, we do have 2 of the 10k vanilla, which I'm using Night of Determination Lamorak. I've changed it up to 10k vanillas because they're very, very consistent. It helps with the consistency of the deck, and if you can't get your ride chain off, they're a good secondary ride target for in case you need to. The 10k base is really good, especially if you get grade stuck. You're going to need 10k base, means you can at least hold your own for a bit longer. 9k base is really easy to get around because 19 is an easy number to get with 8k vanilla and 11k Vanguard, or with 12k attacker and 7k booster. So 9k is a really awkward number to stick at, so having the 10k base is incredibly good. And that's the only reason I'm running it, because of the prevalence for the 12k attackers and stuff, because of they're strong. Okay, next up I run 2 Beast Knight Garmore. It's just extra searcher. If I ride it, I'm going to be riding it on top of the grade 1, so I'm going to try and search out for this guy anyway. I prefer not to ride it. It's great. It's an 8k base, so I don't like using it really. Its ability, you drop a card from your hand, search for a Snogal. Yeah, it's useful. It just helps me fill out my field. Most of the time it's just a card I guard with. I could swap these out for 2 more Blaster Blades, but then I lose some calling effects, and I really like having a massive amount of calling effects in this deck, because being able to call even more units is very good. Okay, next up, 1 Battle Flag Constance. Very good card. When this card hits the Vanguard, Counterblast 2, search for a grade 1 unit. This can be any grade 1, so a Snogal or a Sanctuary of Light Little Storm is what you're going to be aiming for, because they're the key boosters. The other grade 1s you're not going to want on the field really past about turn 2, turn 3. Yeah, that's for grade 2s. On to my grade 3s. I've had a few people which have said I shouldn't be running this, but I'm running it anyway because I do really like having these cards. Yeah, 4 Garmore. Staple for whenever you're wanting to run Garmore in a deck, you would run 4. You can drop this down to 3 to add in another Sanctuary Guard Dragon. I haven't, because I'm focusing more on using this for my primary turn 3 Vanguard. Primary turn 3, because before you hit Limit Break, you're going to want to be very defensive. You're not going to want to get your damage up too high, because once you get to 4 damage, you don't really have many ways to prevent yourself from being damaged anymore. So by using this as your primary turn 3 Vanguard, you don't have to be at Limit Break. You can then swing for good numbers. With, let's say, if you go first and your opponent has a 9k Vanguard, you can have this guy out with a Snogal behind it, a Snogal to the left. This then swings for, on its own, 19 with a boost. Okay, that's a good number. If you're against 12k Vanguard, you have 3 Snogals out, you swing for 21, and 21 is a very good number for those of you that know numbers. But 21, very good number against 12k Vanguards. That's the main reason I run it. Also, it's calling effect. You get discard 1 card to call a Snogal. Very good. Works very well with Sanctuary Light, because it doesn't. With Sanctuary Guard, because Sanctuary Guard doesn't care about what grade 1s are out. But note that I run 1 Sanctuary Guard. He's basically just there to be big, beefy when I hit late game. If I've run out of counterblasts, if my field's starting to get cleared, I can call whatever units I have in my hand, and bam, Sanctuary of Light's going to swing for big numbers. For those who don't know, he's got a limit break ability. For each grade 1 or less unit on the field, he gains plus 3,000. Right? During your turn. Very good. And his other ability, when he's played on a Vanguard circle, discard 1 card and search your deck for a grade 1 or lower unit. Any of them. So he's another searching unit. You can get out some really good plays with this guy. Very good for when you want to final turn. You're going to ride your Sanctuary Guard Dragon at your final turn. He's your big winning card if you happen to draw it. You don't have to keep it in there. You don't have to use it really. But he's very much a big winning card. I am tempted to bump this up to 3, and if I did that, I would drop Garmore down to 2, or maybe even drop Garmore completely out and just run 4 Sanctuary Guards, which would mean I would swap my grade 1s out. But at the moment, I like Garmore. Garmore's it's a fun card. Most people don't really expect you to run it, so it's just a bit of fun before Limit Break. Alright, next, the very big big card of the deck, the grade 3, which is Sanctuary of Light Planetal Dragon. This guy's where all of your plays come from. Okay, his ability, limit break 4. When this unit attacks, all of your Sanctuary of Light cards gain plus 3000. There are a few tech things you can do with the deck if you remake it a little bit, and I'll go over those in a second, which involve getting multiple attacks from Sanctuary of Light, from your Vanguard Sanctuary of Light Planetal Dragon. Only a couple of ways you can actually do that, and also second ability, when he's placed on the Vanguard circle, you can count bless 2 and search your deck for a Sanctuary of Light card. Any Sanctuary of Light, so it's really good. Right, if I sort of explain the really cool tech combos you can do with this, I'm just going to set up a little field, and I'm going to pretend some of the cards are different things. Okay, just because if you want to tech out some of the cards, you can do some really, really cool stuff. Right, ideal field we're going to have here, that's Constance. Sanctuary of Light, or a second Constance if you decide to put a second Constance into the deck, along with 3 Snogals. Right, this is a really cool play you can do, and you're going to be at 4 damage when you're doing this, because otherwise there's no point in really doing it. Either 4 damage or be at 5 and after having healed 1, so you need to have 4 open damage for this. Right, you would swing first off with your Vanguard. Right, you have the card on the soul that's swinging for a 24. Right, that's swinging for a 22, sorry. You'd swing with this against plus 3k. Okay, that's fine. Now, swing with the rear guard column. If this guy hits, you then counter blast 2. Then you search your deck for the card Sage of Guidance Xenon. I haven't got it in this version of the deck because this version of the deck doesn't use it. I would swap out for my Liens, so I'd have 2 of them, and yeah, you call that out, and when it's called onto your rearguard circle, you activate its ability, which means you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's the same grade, so one of these, you can then ride it, bam, full second column, a full new attack from the a full column there again, right? Yes, your Snogal will have been replaced with a 6k booster of a Xenon, not a very good booster, and it would have dropped these guys down to 7k. Yeah, that's not the best, and that means this column swing for 17. Then when this guy attacks again, another 3k goes here. So there are some cool plays you can do it. If all of these guys at the back were actually little storms, right? So if we go over that again, if they're all little storms, this is where the big plays come in. So you have 3 little storms at the back. Okay. Right. So you swing with your Vanguard. Yep. Now what happens? This is a 10k booster, this is a 10k booster, this is a 13k attacker. Right, that's a 23 column, that's swinging for a 24, and that's a 19 column. Okay? Then you swing with this column. If this hits, you counter blast 2. Retire this guy, call out what we're going to call your Xenon, then activating the skill of Xenon, say you top deck into another Planetal Dragon. You can use his ability, counter blast 2, to retire this and call out yet another one of these guys. Then you swing again. So that column there is swinging for 20. This column has actually got a 6k boost on each one of these, which means that will be swinging rather than the 23 which I had before, it'd be swinging for 29. So if you're against cross rides, that hits a very good number. This will be swinging for 13 on its own. Yeah, that's just a few ways you can tech the deck around. I may show you build the text version of the deck, which is a lot more awkward to use, and it doesn't really use Garmore at all. The text version of the deck runs 4 Sanctuary Guards instead, and it also has a Pendragon in it. But yeah, that was the deck. So I went off on a bit of a tangent there. I had that idea in my head about the deck for quite a long time. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I had a comment before about how the deck wasn't very, my previous deck wasn't very good. I saw the errors in my deck already. I'd already flipped it around, and as I said, I was ill before, so my voice wasn't quite able to talk. So this is my new version of the deck. It's a lot more consistent, a lot more power comes from the deck. You're not really losing anything from using cards which I've got. Having dropped the Akane, there's a lot more consistency because you're not having the 8k base Vanguard if you ever have to ride it, and having against an 8k rearguard's not very good. And it's only literally calling one card. Having the 10k vanillas has just bumped it up a bit, made it a little bit more consistent. That's just all I can really say about the deck. It's just been very, very good as a deck. At my local tournaments, I came third. Even though I didn't really win that many, I went 4 and 5 in our groups because we did league system and all that. But because of the number of games I won, I came third. Because we had best of 3s, 9 best of 3s, and as it was league system, person with the most points won. However, because all of my victories were 2-0s, so this deck went 2-0 in 4 games, and all of my losses were 1-2s, so I at least won 1 game against all the decks I lost against, and 3 of those ones were because I decked out, and it was literally because I ran Quintet walls instead of perfect guards, and that was the only issue with that. If this deck was to go properly competitive, having the 3 perfect guards and 1 Quintet wall is a lot better, a lot more consistent. I say consistent, a lot more defensive. You're not going to suffer what I did with that, where in the games which I lost, I actually used all 4 perfect guards, so I actually lost just in guarding on 4 different attacks. I lost 24 cards, and that's a lot. That's like half of your deck. So Quintet walls just made me deck out. That was the only thing which actually lost me games. This version of the deck, before anyone curses it or flames it for being not very good, try it out. If you try out this version of the deck, it is incredibly good. The power of the consistency of this deck is beyond belief. I managed to push Minerva to me decking out. And if I'd had perfect cards, I wouldn't have decked out. I would beat the Minerva deck, and Minerva is the big meta deck at the moment. It's one of the big meta decks. You've got Minerva, Descendant. Until BT15 comes out, they're the big meta decks. There was also a Raging Form, and I took a game off every last one of them and forced them to the very maximum that they could do to be able to try and beat me, and they only beat me because I decked out. So this deck is incredible. It's not as strong, and it takes very perfect play with the deck, but if you play the deck right, you're going to be able to really push any top deck beyond belief, further than anything else. Most of the decks I've tried haven't really been able to push the top decks as far as this, beyond being another top deck. This deck, my Dungaree deck as well, which I'm going to be reviewing at a later point. Just waiting for 3 more of Dungaree cards, just 3 of the base grade 3. They're the only 2 decks I've actually used which have been able to push the big decks, the big meta decks, really far. It is quite an achievement, as far as I can say, to be able to push the meta decks that far and be able to come out on top when you're going against them. It's just something which to bear in mind. The meta decks are meta decks because they are they're a lot easier to use, and they have a lot of power just inherently. If you want to try and play a deck which isn't meta, you can still win very easily if you know what you're doing with your deck. If you learn the ins and outs of a deck, you find it fun, then you can win against all these top-end meta decks very, very easily without having it suffer from any sort of issues. It just takes a lot more. Say you're wanting to run a Neo Nectar deck. which I will be profiling properly my Neonectar deck. Going to be in a couple of weeks. I've got some stuff coming up, so you've got, I say you're running a Neonectar deck, you can really beat the top decks because of field consistency, just being able to go, well, I've attacked here and I've got loads of rear guards. I just keep on calling rear guards every time I try and get rid of them, and my hand isn't getting just beaten here. It's the same idea. If you run a deck which isn't meta deck, you can prove that it's better by beating them. Just very hands down, you can win almost any matchup you're put against with just by outplaying and being a better player. That's the only thing which I've really found when I was playing this deck, that you have generally got to just know what you're doing more than the opponent. It's the same with most decks, to be honest. Yeah, well, that's all I can really say at the moment, and I don't want to keep on rambling, the video will be way too long, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm Towan, I've talked way too much about Cardfight today, and I'll catch you around. Peace out.